Oh, welcome to the What Turns You On show. I am so excited today to have my guest, Goddess Ann Langis. And let me tell you a little bit about this amazing woman. I want to read her bio, and then we're just going to go play and have fun in the realms of turn on. So, Ann is a passionate advocate for play. Oh, she loves it. With over 25 years' experience working alongside children through to adult learners, as well as holding a master's degree in education from Harvard University. She is the founder of several social enterprises, including her consultancy, Ann Langis Play Ltd., which offers training, facilitation, and consulting services for organizations wishing to harness the power of play for well-being, splitting her time between the U.S. and New Zealand, Sport NZ, and Play Center, and numerous schools. Oh, I think I may have missed a chunk there. Nope, I'm right. Across, how do we say this? Otero?
Aotearoa.
Yep,
Aotearoa.
there we go. There we go. And when Sweet Anne is not thinking about play, she can be found playing generally, climbing a tree. I see that, a pole, or having an impromptu boogie in the grass. So it is my honor and pleasure to welcome Goddess Ann Langis to the show. Thank you, my dear. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so great. It's an absolute thrill to be here with you. And thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, I literally from head to toe, I have got goosebumps. Like they're so big, my head just feels like it's just like prickling all over the place and all the way down. Anne and I have been literally playing in the realm of turn on and pleasure for the past 2.5 months, and I have had this great joy and opportunity of meeting her. And when I realized that what turns you on needed to come out into the world, I couldn't think of a better way to start than with these people that I've come together with. And I want you to tell me, what is it in life, other than what we've read, but what is it that just and this is not PG. So what is it that fucking turns you on?
All right. So what rating are we, Sister Goddess Kaelen? Just if
Let's
we're
keep
not
it.
PG.
We'll keep it in R. We don't want to go X, but I think R is good.
Right. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I love this invitation to share what is turning me on. I love the opportunity to reflect a little bit about this beautiful question. So like you read out in my bio, my professional interest, my expertise is in the field of play. It's that has spanned children, how children play. That's where I started as the teacher and kind of preschool and elementary school, and then have worked in high school, have worked with adult learners, with parents, with teachers. I currently do a lot of work alongside teachers to help them in their profession. And so I think a lot about how we can use play to continue to learn and grow and develop and our general well-being. So prior to this course that you and I are doing together, um, I hadn't thought about the term turn on as something that related to anything except a sexual turn on.
Right.
And
Ditto.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a really new construct for me to think about turn on more widely. And I think that's, what you're starting to bring in with this really important and beautiful kind of conversation with people about what it is that turns them on, is that this idea that it's wider than just the sexual realm. So when I thought about, well, what would I say about what turns me on, I felt like there's almost kind of a chronological before Mama Gina and
Yeah.
after Mama Gina. So
Yeah.
the like BAG and AMG. And so
Right.
before this kind of exploration,
Yeah.
um, what I would the turn on in my life, I would have just called it play. and said, oh, the things that I do when everybody stops telling me what to do, when I have nothing left that I have to do, what do I do just because I love it and it feels good? And that's my play. And I love that so much that I've tried to make a career out of it as well. And I refer to myself sometimes as a professional player.
Oh, that could be taken so many ways, but we're going to keep it,
Yeah.
as it is today.
So yeah, so in thinking about how to sum up my some of my turn-ons, there is a real distinct line of before this sort of broadened definition of turn-on. Uh, my main forms of play were physical play, not sexual, physical in terms of risk taking with my what I can do with my balance, my coordination, dancing. I love to dance and I love learning different disciplines of dance and just physical challenges. I really enjoy challenging myself with learning new disciplines of things. And so physical play is the big one for me. And um, also intellectual play. So like kind of word play and creativity with words, playing with words. I um, I love kind of yeah, just clever turns of phrases and sharing literature with other people and talking about an interesting conversation is a major turn on for me. So definitely wordplay and language play, and also fantasy play. I'm used to thinking about play in these categories that we think of like a bunch of little kids in a preschool, like what are the stations for play? There's like the sand pit, there's the climbing gym, and we know there's always like the family play, like the dress up. And that's like my other big love, and just absolutely love costume play, theater, taking on roles, storytelling, all of that. Like I love a good dress up party. So leading up to Mama Gina, I would say those were my highest, like, best forms of play and turn on.
Yes. I like you articulating all of that as we've gotten to know each other through the course. It's like, oh, I just see that so loud. Play is ginormous for me as well. Like at the end of the day, if I can play, and it can be just as simple as, having a dance break in my room, dancing in the car, dancing in the store, dancing wherever I can go because I love it. Like we had 2 feet of snow happen over the past 5 days. And 2 days ago, it was like time to go out and shovel it all. And I went in the backyard because we had so much, and I just went, and I laid there. And I just laid there with wonder, looking up at the sky and watching the birds fly over. And I was cold like crazy, but it felt so good because that was bringing me so much joy. And I started to make my little snow angels, and it fills my cup. And so as you're talking about this play, it's and there are those of us where play looks completely different, right? And in regards to it might be computer time, it might be reading a book, it might be whatever, but as long as we get into those places and spaces
Mm,
of childlike wonder,
mm,
that is a massive space for turn on. That is a massive place for being and sitting in pleasure and
mm,
just really enjoying the moment. Now, I'm going to
mm,
ask you, what turns you off? Because if
mm.
we've got turn on, we're going to have turn off. And
Yep.
paying attention to that is critical in our lives.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. So I think some of my biggest turnoffs are uh, being going along with the crowd. So if 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 there's a group of people and there's pressure to be a certain way, like to be conventional, I'm like, no, I don't like to do
I'm
the
not
same
girl here.
people. So yeah, it's a major turn off for me if I feel like pressure to conform to anything in particular.
Yeah.
Um, and I also, yeah, I think that that I'm working on like overly structured environments, like kind of highly rigid environments are a turn off for me. If I don't feel there's flexibility, if I don't feel there's space to be creative. So kind of very rigid sort of environments that
Yeah,
are hierarchical are a major turn off for me. And I've tried
I get
to
it.
craft my, my career and my lifestyle to not need to be in extremely hierarchical environments, which has been a bit tricky in education
I,
because education is a
it,
very
it lends itself to
hierarchical,
it, right?
structured environment. And
Yeah.
within your own sphere, if you're a teacher, you can, I mean, to varying degrees, you can have some flexibility and freedom within that, but there are major structures in education in general as a field that can really hinder creativity and flexibility in the profession. And so I've found that I've needed to find ways to be involved with education that are not the classroom.
I find it really interesting. The realm of education is literally where play happens. You think of kids going to school, they are in the throes of being in the school, right? In the classroom. And yet they have to go out and get the wiggles out. They've got to go play. And so I think it's so interesting that in that physical building, there's the combination of both, and yet they're very siloed.
Yes,
You know?
there's a very clear message at school that once you're done with your work, then you can go outside and play. And we keep that kind of framing through most of our lives. Actually, most people they latch onto that at school. Yep, there's you do your work and then you get to play, and they've just never the two shall meet ever again.
It's time to break that. It's literally time to shatter that.
Absolutely.
Because you know from your own experience, I know from mine, when I am able to be in play, I am much more productive first if I can go and just have that time to just feel into it and just to have fun. And then I get to receive like the downloads of things that I need, right?
Mm,
But I wouldn't be able to have that if I didn't tap into my creative play space. And then
absolutely.
all the magic happens. And
Mm,
societal wise, it's fucked up. Oh, let's just be clear here. It is completely ass backwards, right? It just doesn't fit. So if we know now what turns you on and what turns you off, what brought you to this program with Mama G?
mm.
Because there
I'm
was something that pulled you, and I am just dying to know what brought you to the School of Womanly Arts at this time for you.
Yes, well, I didn't realize, but the areas of my life that I did not play were the sexual and the sensual. So these
Mm,
two realms, very important realms of life,
yeah.
even though I dedicated my life to the pursuit of play, I had really locked the door on those two areas of my life and my ability to play at
Mm,
quite a young age when I was a teenager. And so it was this sort of midlife, some questioning, some reevaluating, and just noticing some things about myself. I have two beautiful teenage daughters, and when you have a teenage daughter, it's a great opportunity for reflection on your own teenage stuff, and kind of things that you might be holding on to that aren't necessarily serving you anymore as you get triggered by what your daughters are doing.
true
So
statement.
yes, so I thought, okay, I've got some things here. There's some stuff here that hasn't, that I'm kind of holding on to, and gradually, as I just spoke to more and more of my friends and colleagues about the noticings and wonderings that I was having, I just luckily ended up talking to the person who had read Mama Gina's book, Pussy, and she said, here you go. You should have a read of this book, which was beautiful. And that has launched me down the path. I thought, yep, this is exactly what I'm missing. I don't play in the sexual and sensual place. And it's because I have associated that sort of play with a femininity that I did not want anything to do with. And I just decided those are girly things, those are ultra feminine things, and that's just not me. That's not who I am. And so I have my version of myself sexually, I have my version of myself sensually, and I just locked that up and threw away the key.
Isn't it amazing when the universe knows that there's shift that needs to be made within our soul?
Mm.
And we're given the opportunity, and it feels like it is completely blindsiding us. And yet we've been asking for it the entire time. Maybe not vocally, but subliminally, we may be putting stuff out there. I'm a firm believer that if we put stuff out in any form, it's going to come back in one way or another, right? So, what did
Absolutely.
you think when your friend bestowed the book in your hand, Pussy, a Reclamation?
Oh, I was horrified. I couldn't barely repeat. I couldn't repeat it back to her. I was just stunned that she could even say the word to
Yeah.
me out loud.
Right?
Back to her, just like, and then noticing, going, wow, this is a really big deal for me. I can't even say the word pussy. Wow, this is really interesting. And I basically just shelved it. I shelved it until the most amazing thing happened, Sister Goddess Kaelen.
Tell me,
And
Sister Goddess Ann.
I am just so I wasn't expecting to tell you this story, but look where we've gone. And so I will just tell you this story if we have time,
Yes,
which
we're
is
going to
that
go until it stops.
okay, great. So I had ignored the book, and my friend would, every couple of weeks, maybe two or three times, she'd said, "Oh, have you?" No, I'll get there, I'll get there. And then I was at a, yeah, I was ignoring. And
Oh.
then I was at a music festival, and I was dancing out in the grass, a beautiful summer music festival in New Zealand. And this young woman came up to me. I'd never seen her before in my life, had not made any eye contact with her. She walked right up to me and she asked me, "What is your name? How old are you?" And I told her, "My name's Ann. I'm 48 years old. I was then." And she said, "My name's Paya. I'm 16 years old, but I'm not a normal 16-year-old. I connect with people's souls, and I'm very attracted to your soul. And I'd like to know if I could give you a hug."
Oh, okay. Once again, goosebumps. Oh my gosh. Keep going.
So I said, "Of course." And so we embraced in this incredibly tender, just full trust hug. And then we sort of separated from each other, but we were still embracing each other's arms. And she started talking to me and she said, "You're doing really well, Anne. Just keep going. All of this messy stuff that you're going through is getting you where you need to go. Don't give up. Look after yourself. Do not hurt yourself. Be really gentle with yourself. Just keep going. You have a beautiful soul. And I just want you to know I see you and I want you to keep going." Crying up,
Yeah,
just crying.
you couldn't help, of course.
Yeah. And so I was just really flabbergasted. And then she said, "And all women hold the individual or collective memory of male violence, and you don't have to hold that anymore." Yeah, this really happened to me.
Oh, I know it. I believe it. What I'm feeling this earthly angel had specifically, like she was so guided divinely to bring you a message that
Mm,
was the perfect way that you would be able to hear it. Because it
mm.
almost feels like, oh my gosh, wow, the hit that I'm getting is it almost feels like your younger self came to you.
I love that because, when my husband actually witnessed this, we had been dancing together, and he afterwards he said, "What was that? That was like a love bomb." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I felt like she was an old soul and I'm a new soul." And she saw me and she recognized me and she was like, "Oh, honey, just like been there. And I know what you need. I'm just going to drop you a little bit of goodness." And that was what then got me over the line to read the book. I just was like, okay, I have to read this book. Like this is somehow leading me to the back to this book. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Can you make this shut up? No,
No.
not one bit. The divinity of this, and I would venture to say, because my goal is to interview as many women in the program and previous programs as to their turn on and how they came to where they were at to receive the teachings from Mama G. Um, because I'm going to venture to bet that the majority of us have had experiences that have transcended
Mm-hmm.
anything in the regular realm that we live in. It has literally been a spiritual invitation. Ooh, a spiritual
Yeah.
invitation to bring us
Yeah.
in, to wake us up really
Mm-hmm.
hard and loud and go, you got to snap out of this because where
Yeah.
you're going, you require this skill set,
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, wisdom, information, teachings, healings for where
Mm-hmm.
you're going, right?
Yeah.
Then
It's,
how long did it take you before you decided to do any programs? Like what
oh,
you
it
read
was
the book
very,
and
yeah, very quick. Read the book. I closed the book on a Sunday night. I immediately went to Instagram to follow Mama Gina. And I mean, I read the book within a week. It was a very quick read. And then, yeah, followed Mama Gina. The very first post that came up was Mama Gina's 8-week pleasure boot camp starts on Tuesday. Last time that Mama Gina is going to run it herself. And I was like,
yep,
sign me up,
can't
sign me
hit that
up.
button fast enough.
Yeah. And I mean, I have never felt compelled to follow a guru type of person
I get
in
it.
my life
I get it.
ever. And
Yeah.
actually, gurus really turn me off. And I have always felt that there's a conformity element there. There is a kind of ego power construct thing happening there most of the time. And I don't want any of it. I want free thinking, individual. I love to be part of a group, but I want individual thinking within it. And I could not believe how right I knew it was to sign up for that course. And I've not regretted it for a single second, even when it pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. Never regretted it. Beautiful pathway. Yeah.
And it had to push you out of the comfort zone. When we go into when we choose to step up to our greatness, we can't be held back from the painful stuff either. And it's going through that pain that continues to elevate us and ascend us and help us to grow and expand in ways that nothing else can. But it's required, our soul requires it. And when we realize that we are these deeply spiritual beings, we've heard this quote a million times, having a human experience, we realize that there is way more to us than this beautiful body that we get to live in this earth life. And our soul calls to it. And when we answer the call, it's huge. And when we don't, it keeps circling around and
Mm,
circling around until we hear it so loud and clear that we 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 may sustain some type of damage,
mm.
repercussions, and until we figure it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What else is
Yeah.
bubbling up through you, my love, in regards to turn on, pleasure, joy, happiness? What parting words would you like to leave in this moment at this time?
Oh, what a delicious invitation. I think the most fascinating thing for me, and that I can just feel in my body that my body wants me to share with you, is just this incredible beauty of and joy of sensual pleasure, of sensory play. And I think because I work in education, I'm used to talking to people about babies and, oh yeah, babies do sensory play and that's what they do. They put everything in their mouth and they always want your keys or your phone and they're like, they're trying to smell
First
things and
David.
taste things. Yeah, like we know this about babies that they have that their whole world is about their senses. But then we kind of get this idea that we grow out of it or something like okay, well now I know what things taste like. So yeah, taste isn't that important. We're kind of like then on a conveyor belt of like getting up to where we're in our abstract thinking, and we just go, oh well, it's like a race to the top of the ladder of intelligences. Oh well, okay, now we're in abstract thought, and our brain's thinking these things, and we just all we need really is our brain and some fluids to supply our brain, and we forget about these bodily intelligences and this bodily play. And so for me, I think this has just been the most marvelous uh, kind of reintroduction for me of, oh, what kind of foods really turn me on, like what is a foodgasm? I've heard this term, like I'd like to have a foodgasm.
Yeah.
And no, I actually I would love to really have a space that feels so cozy and soft and pleasurable. And I've in the past I just haven't. I've kind of gone, oh well, I'm really about function and kind of functional spaces and functional clothes. I'm loving clothes that make me feel like a goddess. I'm actually loving that so much, and jewelry that makes me feel like a goddess. And
Mm.
it's just brought so much to my enjoyment of life that I did not realize I was missing with my whole tomboy construct of myself. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to do both. I don't have
Mhm.
to get my tomboy. I don't have to get rid of my tomboy construct. I can still
Mhm.
have my tomboy construct, but also enjoy a bubble bath with rose petals. And isn't that just a beautiful broadening out of your pleasure? And what a joyful thing to know that you can get to 50 years old and continue to learn about new things that give you pleasure. Just how beautiful is that? So that is what I would love to leave with anyone listening to this, is just know your capacity for pleasure will continue to expand for your
Mhm.
entire lifespan if you're open to it. And what an amazing gift.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love your wordplay. I love the way that you truly construct words. It's beautiful and it's magical and it's absolutely one of your superpowers. And being able to articulate that so beautifully. It has been such a pleasure to have you here, my dear, and just feeling the joy and happiness out of this and the excitement of all that it just brings to us as we consciously choose to live in this space of pleasure, of turn on, of fun, of what is it that just brings you, that lights you up? Like, what is it that is that fire that you put under you that just shoots you through the roof, in every area? And understanding that as these physical beings, sensory play is pretty profound. I mean, everyone join me. Just lightly. You know how to do it. We're going to do a little bit of a velvet touch. Just so soft and so slow and so like this feels amazing. And all I'm doing is just touching my arm. Or if oh, wow, that's lovely. Just making circles in my
Mm,
hand, nice and slow. Like we all crave touch. And being able to just enjoy something as simple as the palm of your hand is so pleasurable because what happens, we're shifting those neural pathways in our brain and it feels really delightful because then we're like, ooh, what else can I play with? What else can I discover? What else can I explore? Bring on the juices. This is too fun, right?
Well,
Oh,
it's so much energy. It's so much energy it gives to you for whatever you want to do in your life. It's beautiful. It's like fuel for your passions in all
yeah,
areas.
all
Mm,
areas. Well,
mm.
thank you again, my love. And for those of you that have tuned in, this has been What Turns You On with Goddess Ann Langis from New Zealand. And we're just thrilled that she's been able to spend time with us today. And I invite you all today, go do something that turns you on, that lights you up, that brings you joy and so much pleasure. And then try something else and something else. I'm Kaelen Marie, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Mwah.